Belief shapes behavior before reality catches up. This principle is one of the most profound truths in human development, yet it's often misunderstood or overlooked. When you believe that something is possible, even before you have the results, your actions begin to align with that belief. Your posture changes, your tone changes, your energy changes. You start to make decisions not from a place of fear or limitation, but from a sense of possibility and confidence. It's not magic, it's not a trick, it's a psychological reality. What you believe about yourself and your future creates a framework through which you interpret the world. And that framework governs how you move, how you speak, how you engage with people, and how you respond to challenges. Think about the opposite. When someone believes they are destined to fail, even in the smallest ways, you can see it in how they approach everything. They hesitate, they question themselves, they don't follow through. Their belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because their actions are rooted in fear, doubt, and avoidance. It's not that the world has conspired against them. It's that they have trained their mind to anticipate disappointment, and in doing so, they behave in ways that ensure it. On the other hand, when you believe that things will work out, that belief empowers you to take risks, to persevere, and to stay grounded even when things go wrong. People often underestimate the power of internal dialogue. The things you repeat to yourself daily become the foundation of your identity. If you constantly tell yourself that life never goes your way, you begin to live out that narrative. You miss opportunities not because they aren't there, but because you've trained your eyes not to see them. But when you switch that narrative, when you begin to act as if everything is working out for you, you open a different door. That belief doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you do. It gives you permission to be bold. It gives you resilience. You stop waiting for signs and start becoming the sign for others. You become someone who acts in faith, who leads with clarity, and who isn't derailed by temporary setbacks. Your mind is always looking for patterns. When you believe something strongly enough, your subconscious begins to search for evidence to support it. This is why people with victim mindsets tend to find constant proof that they're being wronged, and why people with winning mindsets seem to stumble into opportunities. It's not that the universe is choosing favorites. It's that the filters we apply to our reality influence what we notice, how we respond, and how we carry ourselves. Belief is the lens that sharpens or blurs the path in front of us. The sharper the lens, the more confidently you move forward, and the more confidently you move, the more the world responds. Think about every great achievement in history. Behind it was someone who had to believe before there was evidence. They had to carry the vision in their mind before it ever became real. And that belief, that internal certainty, was what gave them the strength to keep going, to try again after failure, to stand tall when people doubted them, to act when it would have been easier to retreat. Confidence gives you that strength. It doesn't come from success, it creates success. It's the engine that drives consistent action, and consistent action is what eventually brings the results. When you operate from a confident mindset, your energy shifts. Your decisions have more power behind them. You don't waste time second-guessing. You don't shrink to make others comfortable. You don't ask for permission to pursue what you know matters. You simply go. And that movement, that decisiveness, that forward momentum, these are the qualities that open doors. They're the qualities that turn vision into reality. Confidence fuels resilience. When things don't go your way, you don't see it as the end. You see it as a lesson. You adjust, you grow, you return with more clarity. You're not afraid of being seen trying. You're not afraid of falling short because you know that failure doesn't define your worth. It refines your path. Confidence turns rejection into redirection. It makes the journey not only bearable but meaningful because you're not performing for applause. You're showing up for growth. You're building from the inside out. Your energy teaches the world how to treat you. Long before you say a word, before you make a request or set a boundary, your energy communicates your sense of worth. People respond to how you carry yourself, your tone, your body language, your presence. When you walk into a room with confidence, groundedness, and self-respect, others instinctively take notice. They calibrate their treatment of you based on the signals you send. If you constantly give off an energy of self-doubt, people mirror that. If you project a sense of certainty, even in the midst of uncertainty, people are more likely to trust you, to follow your lead, and to respect your space. This isn't about pretending, it's about embodying. There is a real difference between someone who walks in with desperation and someone who walks in with quiet conviction. One asks the world to validate them, the other assumes their value and brings it with them. Your energy speaks louder than your words because it's not filtered through language. It's felt. People might not even realize what they're responding to, but they feel it. It's emotional, it's instinctive, it's primal. And if you want to shift how the world treats you, you have to first shift what you believe about yourself, because that belief radiates in everything you do. Every time you accept mistreatment, you're reinforcing to the world that it's okay. Every time you remain silent when your boundaries are crossed, you send a message that your limits are negotiable. But when your energy is rooted in self-awareness, in dignity, in quiet strength, people notice. They pause before making demands. They think twice before speaking carelessly. Not because you threatened them, but because your energy demanded respect without saying a word. That's power, that's presence, that's influence without noise. This also applies to how you treat yourself. Your inner dialogue becomes your outer energy. If you constantly criticize yourself, minimize your abilities, and focus on what you lack, that becomes your emotional signature. Others pick up on it, even if you try to mask it with a smile. But when your energy is built on compassion for yourself, belief in your growth, and faith in your direction, people sense that. They may not understand why, but they're drawn to it. They respond to it with more consideration, more attentiveness, and more openness. There's a direct connection between how you view yourself and how others view you. People tend to align their behavior with your internal narrative. If you carry the energy of someone who expects to be overlooked, you often will be. If you carry the energy of someone who expects to be valued, you often are. That's why the shift must start from within. It's not about demanding respect from others. It's about embodying the kind of self-respect that makes disrespect feel out of place in your presence. This is especially important in leadership, relationships, and personal boundaries. When your energy is firm, yet kind, confident but not arrogant, assertive yet open, you create a space where others naturally rise to meet you. And making sure that each of us understands that whatever they might be when they're not in our presence, it's about putting pressure on yourself to produce, to give, to produce, to keep, to provide, to carry, to pray, to teach, to teacher, to master, to forgive, to pray, to teach, to teacher. They mirror the energy you bring. They calibrate their behavior based on your cues, and you do the same with them. It's a silent negotiation happening all the time, shaped by posture, tone, eye contact, and presence. If you want better treatment from the world, don't just focus on what others are doing. Focus on what you're allowing. Focus on what you're projecting. The energy you bring teaches others how to engage with you. It shapes the expectations, the conversations, the opportunities, and even the outcomes. It's not manipulation. It's alignment. It's about showing up in a way that honors your worth, so the world has no choice but to do the same. Fear reacts. Faith responds. That difference may seem subtle, but it defines the entire course of your life. Fear is immediate. It's impulsive. It's built on survival and thrives in uncertainty. It tells you to shrink, to hide, to protect yourself from imagined outcomes that haven't even happened. It speaks loudly when you face challenges, whispering worst-case scenarios, convincing you that playing small is safe. But that safety is an illusion. Living in fear keeps you stuck in the same cycles, repeating the same mistakes, and missing out on the growth that only comes from taking bold steps forward. Faith, on the other hand, is calm. It doesn't panic in the face of uncertainty. It moves through it. Faith isn't blind. It's deeply aware of the risks, but it chooses action anyway. It doesn't ignore fear, but it refuses to be governed by it. Faith is rooted in something deeper than emotion. It's based on trust, in yourself, in your direction, in something bigger guiding your steps. It creates space for wisdom, perspective, and intentionality. When you operate from fear, your reactions are often defensive and short-sighted. You make decisions to avoid pain rather than to create progress. You settle for less because fear convinces you that you're not worthy of more. You stay quiet when you should speak up, hold back when you should take the leap, and remain passive in situations that require strength. Every reaction based on fear leads you further away from your potential. It weakens your confidence, breaks your rhythm, and turns small obstacles into overwhelming barriers. Faith, however, brings you back to your center. It steadies you in moments of chaos. It allows you to pause and choose your response rather than be a slave to your emotion. Faith looks at the unknown and says, even if I don't have all the answers, I trust that I'll figure it out. That response is powerful. It brings clarity in confusion, purpose in hardship, and direction when nothing feels certain. It's not loud or dramatic. Faith moves quietly, but with intention. And that kind of movement creates momentum, because it's consistent. Every time you choose to respond with faith, you're reprogramming your mind. You're teaching yourself that you can face hard things, that you can survive discomfort, and that you can navigate the unknown with strength. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, but it puts it in its place. It says, I see you, but you don't get to drive. This shift in posture changes how you show up in every area of your life, from relationships to work to personal growth. You stop reacting to everything as if it's a threat, and start engaging with life as if it's a journey you're meant to experience fully. This doesn't mean you'll never feel anxious or uncertain. It means you no longer let those feelings dictate your choices. It means that instead of being pulled by fear, you're led by purpose. Instead of retreating, you move forward. Instead of protecting your comfort zone, you expand beyond it. Faith becomes a way of life, a discipline of choosing to trust even when things don't make sense yet. That trust gives you the courage to act when others freeze. It gives you the patience to persist when others quit. And it gives you the strength to stand firm when the ground beneath you feels unstable. The world constantly throws noise at you. Doubt, fear, negativity, chaos. And in the middle of that storm, you get to decide what voice you listen to. Fear will always have something to say, but faith gives you the final word. And when you choose to respond with faith, you become the kind of person who doesn't just survive uncertainty, you rise through it. The future bends for those who act with conviction. Conviction is more than belief. It's belief backed by action. It's the internal fire that refuses to be put out by doubt, distraction, or delay. When you act with conviction, you send a signal to the world that you are not asking for permission. You are moving with purpose. People can feel it. Opportunities tend to find their way to people who radiate that kind of energy because it cuts through noise and hesitation. Conviction makes you stand out in a world full of people waiting to be certain, waiting to be ready, waiting for someone else to make the first move. When you carry conviction into your work, your relationships, your dreams, and your decisions, you start to attract a different kind of response. People begin to listen more closely. Doors begin to open where they once remained shut. Not because the world changes magically, but because your energy changes. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop playing small to make others comfortable. You step into rooms like you belong there, and not because of ego, but because you've finally accepted that your vision matters. You no longer waste time over-explaining your goals or defending your ambitions. You live them. You embody them. Conviction doesn't mean you won't feel fear. In fact, most of the time, acting with conviction means moving forward even while fear tries to hold you back. It means feeling the resistance and doing it anyway. It means facing criticism and still standing tall, because you know your why. You're not chasing approval. You're answering a call that comes from deep within. Conviction anchors you. It gives you something to hold on to when things get uncertain. It keeps you rooted when storms come, and they always come. What separates people who achieve extraordinary things from those who only dream about them is not talent, is not resources, it's conviction. It's the unshakable determination to see it through, to keep building, to keep rising, even when the world says, stop. That level of commitment is rare, and that's exactly why it's powerful. People are drawn to those who live and act with that level of clarity. They want to follow them, support them, be around them. Conviction doesn't just change how you move, it changes how others move around you. Even when you don't have every detail figured out, conviction drives progress. You make the call, you send the email, you walk into the meeting, you launch the idea. You don't wait for the stars to align. You become the force that starts aligning them. And as you act, momentum builds. Momentum leads to clarity, and clarity brings more aligned action. That cycle feeds itself, but it only begins when you choose to act. Like the future is already leaning in your favor. The reason conviction bends the future is because it sets a direction with such intensity that obstacles no longer look like dead ends, they look like detours. They look like adjustments, but they never look like stop signs. Conviction trains your brain to expect resistance, but to move forward anyway. It tells your nervous system that discomfort isn't danger, it's part of the path. And over time, that mindset becomes your new normal. You start responding to challenges with focus instead of fear. You start seeking out solutions instead of reasons to quit. This is why conviction isn't loud. It doesn't have to be. Real conviction doesn't need to announce itself. It's felt. It shows up in how you sit, how you speak, how you make eye contact, how you hold your own in silence. It's in the way you keep going long after motivation fades. It's in the way you choose action over perfection, direction over hesitation, and growth over comfort. You start walking not like someone who is trying to get somewhere, but like someone who knows they will. And that shift bends everything around you, not because the world changes, but because you do. Gratitude is not weakness, it's power. In a world that constantly pushes you to want more, to strive harder, to be dissatisfied until the next achievement, gratitude can seem like a passive emotion. But in truth, gratitude is one of the most powerful mental states you can cultivate. It grounds you in the present moment. It reminds you of what's already working, what you've already survived, what you've already built. And when you start seeing your current life through a lens of appreciation, you stop needing chaos to feel progress. You begin to notice the quiet wins. You begin to see how much you've already overcome. That mindset strengthens you because it removes the illusion that you're lacking. People often think they need more to be happy, when in reality, they need to notice more of what they already have. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you grow from a place of fullness instead of emptiness. It means you chase your goals with clarity, not desperation. When you act from gratitude, your energy shifts. You no longer operate from fear of missing out or the need to prove something. You act from love, from purpose, from alignment. And that kind of energy moves mountains because it's clean. It's not polluted by envy, comparison, or scarcity. When you act as if everything is working out for you, you begin to see challenges differently. You don't just react to difficulty, you respond with resilience. You begin to see obstacles as redirection rather than rejection. You become someone who assumes that life is unfolding exactly as it should. That assumption changes how you walk into rooms. It changes how you approach people. It changes the tone in your voice. Because now you're no longer seeking from a place of need, you're offering from a place of abundance. Gratitude also sharpens your focus. It allows you to identify what truly matters. Instead of being distracted by 100 different things that feel urgent, you're able to prioritize what actually aligns with your vision. You're not pulled by every opportunity, you're rooted in what's right. That grounding gives you an edge in decision-making. It creates inner peace, even in the midst of external pressure. You don't waste your energy chasing things that don't feed your purpose. You conserve your strength for what's worth building. This mindset creates emotional discipline. When you're grateful, you don't get knocked off course by every inconvenience. You learn to stay calm when things don't go your way. You understand that temporary discomfort doesn't mean long-term defeat. That kind of emotional maturity is what sets you apart. Most people live reactively. They let their emotions dictate, but gratitude gives you a baseline of contentment that doesn't rise or fall with every outcome. It keeps you steady, clear, and anchored. Acting as if everything is always working out for you isn't denial, it's direction. It's choosing to see meaning even in hardship. It's choosing to interpret delay as preparation. It's choosing to believe that what's meant for you is already in motion, even if you can't see it yet. And when you live from that belief, you naturally take better actions. You don't force things, you align with them. You don't chase validation, you embody it. And that level of calm certainty is rare in a world driven by anxiety and urgency. Gratitude teaches you how to live with excellence now, not later. It reminds you that life is happening now, and if you don't slow down to appreciate it, you'll miss the very moments that are shaping your strength. You begin to treat people better. You begin to carry yourself with more dignity. You begin to lead with joy instead of stress. And when the world sees someone like that, someone who walks with peace and power, they can't help but pay attention. Because that kind of presence doesn't just inspire, it transforms.